Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you for clicking on another one of my tutorials. I sure appreciate you. We are going to make this beautiful little puppy Lovie. Friends, he is so cute, and I'm telling you, he is so soft. I'm using loops and threads, Ombré Hues yarn in the colorway Plum, Periwinkle, and White. This ball is, let me just, for those of you who need to know, it is 390 meters, 150 grams, and we're going to use about 3/4 of the ball. It is a light 3-weight yarn, so that's why this turns out a little bit smaller than some of our other Lovies, and that's what I loved about it. I think it's just such a great size for little hands to hold, but you know what? You can go ahead and use a 4-weight yarn and follow the same pattern. I used my 46 needle machine for all of this except for the little crochet pieces, which you can, I tell you later on in the video, you can opt out of them if you don't want to learn how to crochet. But I made the arms and the ears using my 46 needle machine. And so you're also going to learn how to do flat panels. So yay. You guys, this is a great video for learning, and it's not scary. It's easy and you're going to love it. So once you have your machine and your supplies, we're going to get right into it. I hope you have fun, that you enjoy the process, and I can't wait to see your makes. Please show me in my Facebook group. And if you are posting in other groups, please add the link so others can find it as well. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much when you do that. You have no idea. So thank you, friends. And once you have your supplies, we're going to make this adorable little puppy Lovie. All right, friends, we are going to begin. So I want you to grab some waste yarn that's a contrasting color from what your project yarn is going to be. We're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in front of our yarn guide, and we're going to cast on. Let's go in front of that first black, behind, in front, behind, all the way around. When you're casting on with your waste yarn, you want to make sure that you're not using any tension. You're just letting it naturally slip through your fingers as the needles pick it up, okay? And we're going to get to the end, and we're going to be behind that last white needle into our yarn feeder. And how many rows you knit is personal choice. I have a knot in this waste yarn. Oh, there we go, easy to take out. It's personal choice, but I always do 7 rows. So for this first row, you're going to want to go slow, just to make sure that all of those needles pick it up and take it down through the loop without splitting your yarn. And there we go, we're good. Now I have it between my fingers like this, just giving it a very, very mild tension, very loose tension. And I'm going to keep knitting. I think this is 3, might be 4, but I'll say it's 3 and 4. This is loops and threads black yarn that I'm using as my waste yarn, and this yarn works just wonderfully in our machines. I think this is, well, this is 6. I'm going to do one more. And on my 7th round, I'm going to stop partway through, and I'm going to turn my counter to 0. So that it's ready when I get started. I see that black divider that I have still yet to recolor. I'm going to cut off my yarn. I'm going to open the latch, pop it between the last white and the first black, and then I'm going to grab my working yarn. I went up and I grabbed my black marker, and when that comes around, I'm going to mark it. I'm going to open my latch. I'm going to take my yarn, which this is a 3-weight yarn, so it's a little bit thinner than what I normally use, actually, but that's okay. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. I'm going to grab both of those tails, and I'm going to knit 4 or 5 needles. And then you see how these loops are coming over top of the little red dividers there? I'm going to pop them down. Then I'm going to take both ends of my working yarn and snug that up. You see what happened there? It tightened up my stitches. So when my project is off the machine, the beginning of my row will have nice even tension, not all loopy tension. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to do what I said I've been meaning to do for the last several videos. Just take a black permanent marker, then I can always see it coming around. It takes very little time to dry, and we can continue on. I'm just going to knit. Once I get one round down, I'm going to just put a little slip knot in there, just one little knot. For my yarn, I am holding it so that it's between my 2 fingers, just like that, putting a very, very light tension on it as I knit. I find with the lighter yarns you need to put a little bit more attention. But they just work so beautifully in our machines. All right, friends, so we're gonna keep knitting just like this, going round and round and round, till we have knit 45 rows. All right, so keep going. And when you get to row 45, see me back and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. I just took to my 45th row and I'm coming around. I watch for that little black divider and I put it in front of my yarn guide. And there we go. We have 45 rows knit. Now what you want to do is you want to cut off a long tail because we're going to use it to seam across our piece to make our flat edge. So you need it long enough for the length of that. So I'm going to cut it off. Pop it into the center between my last white and my first black. I'm going to go ahead and grab my waste yarn. I'm going to pop that into the same place between the last white and the first black. We're going to hold those two, and we don't have to straighten that because we can put a little knot in that though, because this is waste yarn and it's going to eventually come off. So once this comes around again, I'm going to just tie one little knot here, just to hold it in place. Okay, I'm going to knit 7 rows of waste yarn. Now, generally, when you're using waste yarn, you will knit your rows and then you will cut your yarn tail, you'll pop it in between the last white and the last black, and you'll rotate your barrel twice and it comes off. We're not going to do that for this because we are going to do the Kitchener stitch on all ends. We want to make sure that that waste yarn is secure. It's not going to begin to unravel because, as you know, when you use waste yarn and you just remove your project the way I just told you, then the yarn will start to unravel. That's okay if you're not doing a lot of work on the end piece and you're just closing it with a crochet hook, then it's no bother. But when we're taking our time and jostling around with it, we need to make sure that it's secure. So you're going to cut off a tail that goes around your barrel 1.5 times. Open that latch, pop that between the last white and the first black. I might have made that a little too long, but that's okay. Cut it off later. I'm going to pop that onto my needle. And we are going to cast off with our drawstring cast off, because this line that we're now using is going to hold all those stitches so it doesn't unravel. So rotate your handle. When that needle drops down, then that loop is available to remove. Take your needle, pick it up. Take your needle, pick it up. Making sure that you don't, when you're picking up this one, that you don't lift up so high that you drop that one, okay? And once you get some slack on here, you can begin to take off a few more, holding them on your needle with your thumb. Friends, you're going to go around and you're going to do this for all the loops. Remove your project from the machine. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to make a second panel exactly like this. You're going to put waste yarn onto your machine. Then you're going to add your working yarn, leaving a long enough tail for seaming. I don't know that I mentioned that at the beginning, but you're going to do that, and you're going to knit 45 rows. You're going to add your waste yarn, and then you're going to cast off again just like this. So friends, make 2 panels, and when you have that done, we will move on to the head, and then we will assemble the head and whatever other pieces we still need to make. Moving on to the head, we are going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn guide, and we are going to cast on. We do not need waste yarn. Yay! So back and forth. Between each needle, just like this, letting it just slip through your fingers. And before you get to the end, you're going to set your row counter to 0. Pop that into your yarn feeder. Make sure you go fairly slow the first round. You want to make sure that loop is dropping over the red teeth and it's not splitting. Sometimes with this yarn, just like that one there. See this one here? I'm going to grab my loom pick. This one split. So before that needle drops down, I'm going to just help that loop over the 2 red teeth, and this one too. And you just want to go slow for your first round. Make sure that if you have yarn that splits easily, like this one does, that you just take your time on your first round. That's all it takes. There we go. I always pull that down. I think it helps. And then you should be free to knit. We get questions on my Facebook group and under comments of my YouTube channel and in all Facebook groups saying that people have trouble casting on because of that very issue. Like it's your yarn is snapping and breaking as you do your second round, and that's because it split in between these two little red teeth, and you didn't fix it before you continued on. If you have yarn that splits easily, you have to do what I just showed you. It doesn't take very long. You've seen how quickly that moved along. But to help that first row will then set you up for success for the second and third and so on, okay? So friends, keep going. And for the head, we are going to knit 32 rows. Coming up on the end of row 32, there we go. I watched for that black divider and put it in the very center of my yarn guide, and that is what helped me. You're gonna cut off a long enough tail to go around your barrel, 1.5 to 2 times. Open your latch, pop that between the last white and the first black. That's important. You need to have it between those two needles. You're gonna grab your needle, and we're going to do a drawstring cast off. Turn your handle. Once that needle drops down, you can go ahead and pick off that stitch, just like so. Rotate your barrel. If it's tight and you feel like it's, if you pull up on this too much and this loop is falling off, just put your finger, if you haven't got the feel of the tension, just put your finger over the next stitch before you pull off the one that you're working on, just like this. Because it would be very sad if you were new and you hadn't got the feel of the tension needed for this part and you dropped a row. Okay, so if that's what you need to do, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, go ahead, take off all these little loops, hold them on your needle with your thumb till you're ready to pull your needle through, and remove your project from the machine. Have fun, friends. We have our 3 pieces off the machine. Just by habit, I've stretched them out already, but you're going to want to take them and you're going to want to stretch them widthwise and lengthwise. It's the first thing I do when I take things off the machine. So we're going to just then go ahead and grab one piece here. Now, when you take it off and you stretch it both ways, it just lines up those rows. This yarn is amazing. Like seriously, look at my nail polish matches. Anyways, I love how this worked out because all 3 pieces are a different shade, and I think that's going to add to it. I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous because it all matches because it's from the same ball. So this is going to be just beautiful. We're going to now do our Kitchener stitch. It is like not as hard as you are probably thinking. So I'm going to show you an easy way to visualize it and to get it right every time. We are going to take our long tail that we cut off, okay? We're going to get that waste yarn. Well, it's got to stay on the outside so that you can, well, it doesn't actually because you're going to pull it from here. So you can tuck that in. Sorry, a little confusing there. You can tuck that one in and get it out of your way. But you're going to take a look at your stitches here. The working yarn is attached to that loop right there. That is the first loop on the top row. When you go to the bottom, the one that your waste yarn is coming out of, that is the first loop on the bottom row. We're going to think in terms of top row and bottom row, okay? But before we do that, we're going to take stitch markers. I want to mark the last 2 on this end because as you start working and pulling, you think, okay, now where are those last 2 stitches? And because sometimes they get tight, so we're going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. See, you would have thought it was over here. 23 and 24 are the very end stitches when we are working this, okay? And that way you're just going to know that you've got all of them, because if you miss one of these, once you take your waste yarn off, it will drop your row. So we want to make sure that we are working every stitch. So to begin the Kitchener stitch, you are going to take that tail that is on your needle, Down in this first stitch where your waste yarn is coming through, you're going to just go and pick that one up. Because this is the loop where our yarn is attached to, that's the first one we're going to use. So if you want a visual, if you take those two and you bend that down like that, you see a stitch, right? There's the point of the V, there's the wide part. You're going to take your needle, you're going to go right across. How easy is that? That's how I visualize it. When I visualize it, then I can get it. Okay, this is the loop that we worked because our waste yarn's coming out of it. If you take that and you point it like that to make a stitch, this is the one that we worked already. This is the next one. You go right across. And once you get this visual, see that stitch? Once you get this visual, you will be able to do it without bending your work. But it's just a nice visual to help you see. This is the one that we've already worked. We see our yarn coming out of that. This is the one we need to do next. So we're going to make that a stitch. We're going to go back into the one we worked before and go right across. See how easy? You're going to pull this, but you just want it to have the same tension as what your work is, so you don't want to pull it too tight. This is the one that we've already been in, and we have to go back into it. So we're going to make that stitch just like that. Go across. If this isn't the easiest way to visualize the Kitchener stitch, I don't know what is. Okay, this is the best I can do to show you how to do it. This is the one we've already worked, but we still have to go back into it, make our stitch, go across, pick up that whole stitch. So the wide part of the V is closer to you at the top row. Give that a little pull. Go to the bottom row, the narrow part of the V is closest to you when you make your stitch. And you go right across. Let's do that a couple more times and then I'll show you how you do it without making the V. So this is to visualize it. You just pick up that stitch. Go back down to the bottom. Pick up that stitch. And then, now that you can see that V, you don't have to bend it. Now you know that this is the stitch. So you're gonna go pick it up. Just like that. You know, this is your stitch. So you're gonna pick it up just like that. Up to the top, the V points up. Down to the bottom, the V points down. Up at the top, the V goes to the top. Up at the bottom, or down at the bottom, the V is closer to you. And that, my friends, is how you do the Kitchener stitch with an easy visual to help you figure it out. Again, if you go, okay, now what do I do? What do I do? Take your piece, look at the one that you were already worked, then take the next one, bend it so you see your stitch, and just go across, pick it up. And if you're confused at the bottom, you bend it so you see your stitch, and then you go right across and you pick it up. Isn't that like such an easy way to visualize it? And we're getting a beautiful, beautiful seam there. And then, you know, again, once you've done it 3 or 4 times, I promise you, you won't have to bend it. You're just gonna go like this, and it's gonna be like natural for you to do, and it's so easy. And you're gonna just say, thank you, Shelley. And I'm gonna say, well, you're very welcome. So friends, I hope that this has helped you. And when I get to the end, which will be soon, I'm just gonna follow along with you. I will show you how we close it off. Alrighty. So what I would encourage you to do is to go back to the beginning, look at how I started it, and watch this video a couple of times before you attempt it, and that will help you to visualize it and get it better, okay? But we are almost there. Doesn't take long. It's so fun. It's nothing to be scared of. When I first started knitting, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to do that Kitchener stitch? I can't do that Kitchener stitch. I'm not a hand knitter with knitting needles. I can do a little bit, but not much. I actually would like to learn and pick it up a little bit better. I can do the knit stitch and the purl stitch, and they say if you can do that. And I've made a pair of slippers, and I've made a beanie just with your basic stitches. And they say if you can do that, then you can pretty much do anything. I don't know about that. I have a friend who makes absolutely gorgeous stuff. Shout out to you, Deb, if you're watching this, with knitting needles. And would love to learn that too. So we're almost at the end here. Okay. I know that these are my last two. I have to go back into this one, pick up that stitch, back down to this one, and pick up this stitch. Now, when I remove my waste yarn, it's not going to come undone. But before I pull that tight, I'm going to stick my needle in that loop and knot off. Then I can take these two little guys out. Just like that. I can go ahead and remove my waste yarn, and you are going to see the magic. Where is my tail? There it is. So I'm going to just turn it this way so that I can, when you pull on your tail, you see it's coming this direction. It's easy, then you'll know which way to pull. So pinch a stitch, pull that tail the opposite direction. Go down 5 or 6 stitches, pinch a stitch, pull that tail. Because for me, when I did this cast off, you're wondering, how come you're pulling that off on the end of your work? And that's because when I cast off with waste yarn, then I cut off a tail and I put it on my needle and I did the drawstring cast off. Otherwise, as you know, if you don't, this just keeps coming undone and it's halfway down to your work before you have your work done, and it's your stitching done, and it's very, very frustrating. So then if you just do the drawstring cast off, that will help. Now for your long tail, another little tip that I will show you. Pop that into the center there and out your work. Put your finger in that loop because you don't want to take it all the way through, but I'm showing you 2 different tricks here in one video. But you want to leave it a little bit like that so you can find it later. Then when you pull your waste yarn off, it doesn't tangle around your yarn tail. Generally, I will roll this up as I take it off, but I've used it several times, so I'm not going to use it again. So I'm just going to throw it out. And there we go. Removing that waste yarn. Friends, we have gone and done it. You cannot tell that it's not, you can't see it. Like, it just fits that row. I mean, you can see it a little bit, but it just follows that same patterning, and you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful edging. Once we have that side done, we're going to move on to the next side, and I'm just going to show you how you identify your stitches. We've got our working yarn tail coming out here, and you see right beside it is that loop. That's your first stitch on the top row. Then on the bottom row, your waste yarn is right here, and it is coming out of that last loop. Let's see if I can grab a needle here. So this is our waste yarn. Now if I pull on it, you see what loop it's going through. So this one that's right beside the working yarn, and this one here are the first 2 that we're going to work. You're going to count around, because there's 46 needles in here. You're going to count around to 23 and 24 and put your stitch markers in there. And then you're going to begin and do the same process of what I just showed you. And you're going to do it for all sides that are left. So you have 3 sides left to go. When you get that done, you will be a pro at the Kitchener stitch. And you're going to love it. And then we'll move on. Now this is yarn it's barely going to make it, but it will. If it doesn't, if you didn't cut one off long enough, then all you got to do is attach a yarn tail to your needle and just begin as though it's attached to your work, and then tie this tail and that tail together and hide them both into your work. Okay, so that's all you have to do for that. It's a very, very simple fix. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to finish the other three ends, and I'll see you back when I'm done. Once you have all 4 ends done, you smooth them out, because it's going to look like it's not lined up properly because it's all twisted, but that's just because you've been playing with it. But you smooth it out, and if one looks longer than the other, it's probably because you stretched one better than the other with more force. But if you did 45 rows on both, once we join them, they'll line up, so don't stress about that. So we're going to do the braided join. So I'm going to put these together just like that, one on top of the other. We're going to find the edge, and then we're going to turn it so that like right now the edge of mine naturally falls where the point of the V is to the left. I want to just give it a half a turn of a row so that the wide part of the V is going to the left. And I'm going to stay on that row. I'm going to find the same one on this side. Maybe this side is better. There we go. So the wide part of the V is going to the left. And it just takes a bit to get it started, because this is, if you're using the same yarn, it's very fine. So it's just very soft and hard to hold. But once you twist it and you get like the first 10 or 15 stitches all in the right way, and that'll give you a good start. Then you can move your fingers up and you can pinch it. See what that did? Now I'm pinching it and I've got the right rows up. So you can see that the wide part of the stitch is going to the left on that side, and it's the same on this side. Those are the rows that I'm going to use. Okay, so we are going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to try to get underneath that first stitch on this side. I'm using a 5mm hook. Maybe for this it's too wide. There we go. Then I'm going to go over to this side and I'm going to take that first stitch. It's actually the second one, but I'm going to tie off the little corners later if I need to. Find it easier to get into that second one. If you can get into the first one, that's great. Okay, and I just put it through the loop on that was on my hook. So I picked up this one, and then I went to this other side, picked that one up, and brought it through the loop on my hook. Now we're going to count 2. Here's where it's coming out. So I count that as 1, 2. Go into that next stitch, pick up that bar, pull it through the loop on your hook. This is where we came out, 1, 2. So we're picking up every second bar. Stop and give that a turn so that you stay on the same row. 1, 2, 1. I count that 1 because this is the first bar. We're going to leave that one and we're going to take the next one. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can do the invisible join if you would like for this project, but I think this will give it a nice, like a prettier effect, and so that's why I'm choosing to do this. Okay, and we're going to have this braid at the front of our project, not on the side, and I'll show you that too, so make sure you stick with me. Sometimes people will watch part of the video and then they'll think, oh, this is what she's going to do. And then they'll get stuck and come onto my group and say, I don't understand how you did this. And I'll have to direct them back to the video because I show everything step by step. So don't miss a step if you're not 100% sure what you're doing, because you're just going to waste your time, really, because you're going to have to come back and redo it anyway. So my suggestion to you is to just watch, and learn until you get it, and then you'll have no problem the next time you do it. All right, so I'm going to continue on up the row till I get to the top, counting 1, 2, 1, 2, and as you've seen, I've stayed on the same row, so I just stop every once in a while just to smooth it out. See, there it is. It's so beautiful. And there we go. Now, I hid all my tails. Yes, I did. And you know what? I had to, because they were, with the exception of one, they were all too short. I had to add. So I'll show you how I'm going to finish this off. And you know what? Sometimes I'm glad when things like that happen, because then it will show you what you can do if you have the same problem. I'm just going to finish on down to the bottom here. There we go. Now I have this loop, but I don't have a tail to tie it off. So I'm going to, isn't that pretty? I'm going to grab my yarn and my needle. And from there, I'm going to pick up that loop. So I'm going to carefully take my hook off. I'm going to pick up that loop just like that. I'm going to pick up this top corner stitch just like that. I'm going to come over to this corner stitch. I'm going to pick that up. Then I'm going to go back through the loop in the opposite direction. Then I'm going to take these two and I'm going to tie them. cut this off and hide my ends. Pop that in there, in between the layers. Pull it out, cut it off, pull up. This is looking very pretty, but I don't like that that's split there because I couldn't get into that first space. So all I'm going to do is take my yarn, go through those 2 loops, and then I can tie off. And that will smooth out that top edge too. See how that brought that together, and it's nice and straight and beautiful. Tie that off in a knot, cut this off, hide my ends. We're going to set this aside. We're going to grab our little head and we're going to stretch that out. Such a difference in the field of 3-weight yarn and 4-weight yarn. It's unbelievable. We're going to take one side and we're going to, I'm going to leave that tail in case I need it for sewing. We're going to smooth out the top and we're going to cinch it closed. But smoothing it out as you go makes for a much nicer finish. If you just pull it and tie it off, you'll have a messy top. Let's take that and put that on our needle. I don't think I'm going to need this long piece, but we're going to leave it on just in case, because I always do that. I'll cut it off and then I'll think, oh shoot, I did need that. And I'm going to go around the top here and I'm going to just reinforce it so that it's closed. We'll go around once. Pull, and just a little bit more. And then I'm going to tie a knot. Now this is going to be a smaller lovey, but if you want a bigger one, and I used medium 4-weight worsted weight yarn, look up the owl, go to my playlist. I'm having trouble with this 3-weight yarn. It's too fine for me. Too dainty. Go to my playlist and to my animal playlist and look up the owl lovey. You'll like it. It's really, really cute. There we go. Easy fix. And I'm going to pull that tight, pull that knot down with my thumb. Then I'm going to pop this into the center, pull it through, and I'm going to bring this through to this side as well. But well, you know, first things what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this. We're going to tighten this other side a little bit because this is so fine to work with. Be careful that when you pull it, you don't break it. It's not as strong as worsted weight yarn, as 4-weight yarn. So I'm going to bring this tail out through the other end. I'm going to cut this second one here that I'm working with shorter because I don't need that length to get in my way. I'm going to take this one off. I actually don't need the length of this one either. We're going to cut these both off. And we're going to pull that one up in the middle. This one I'm going to just pull, and I think I can get it tightened. For some reason this one tightened better. So I'm going to just tie a knot, being careful again that I don't break it. Just like that. Pop this on my needle. Put it back on the inside. And then what we're going to do, or you could have just turned it inside out, but that's okay. We're going to do this. We're going to grab a piece of yarn that will go around the circumference of this. Now, I think just one of these ones that I cut off is probably going to be long enough. So I'm just going to use that. And we're going to do a drawstring on this edging. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's nice and smooth. So you have the very edge. And when that's smooth, you're going to pick up 2 bars. So 1 row, pull that through, leaving a tail. Go over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2, over, under, all the way around. Making sure that you smooth it out every once in a while just to make sure that your getting the very edge there. Okay, so go ahead, finish that all the way around, over 2, under 2 bars, over 2, under 2, which is over 1 row, under 1 row, over 1 row, under 1 row, all the way around. When you've gone all the way around, you can pull it slightly so you can start to see the little gather there. You can take some fiber fill. I always pull it apart. I think it goes further. I mention that in every video too. I could be wrong, but I just think that it does. For some reason, I think it does. Then we can just pull that. I don't want this to be too overstuffed. This is just a mini baby Lovie. I'm going to put a little bit more. And they're just like that. And I always like to make a mention. If you are finding that your rows are splitting apart like this, you've got way, way, way too much stuffing in and you want to take some out. That will just take away from the whole look of your project. I have a nice soft head there and it's about the right size. I could put more in there, but I don't want to. I have a nice size shape. It's going to be the perfect size for my, my Lovie. And now I'm going to just take these two here. And I'm going to tie them, being careful again as I pull that I don't break it. And you don't have to worry about getting that completely closed. Okay, so I'm going to struggle with this as I do on every video. I always tell you, I have a hard time. I need a third hand for that. There we go. And that's open like that, and that's okay. I'm going to just leave it because it's going to be sewn down to the Lovie. You are not going to have to deal with it. As a matter of fact, it gives us a nice, it's if you don't put it really tight, I think you have just a bit of a better shape to sew it on. You're going to go ahead and take that long tail that we left. I did go ahead and cut it off because I didn't think I would need it, but I'm going to take it from across and across, just like that. And then I'm going to go back. This is going to help me get it centered. Just like that. Then I'm going to come, take my piece here, and I'm going to find the center. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half, but make sure this is the top, okay? If you look at the wrong side of the braid here, there is a distinct difference. That's the wrong side. You see it kind of dips in. This is the right side. So I'm just going to fold this in half just so I can pinch where I think that's going to be, and it's going to be about there, and there's not much strength through that braid. I know, but that's not all we're going to do. So we just want to get this placed. I love these colors. Oh my goodness, you guys. Then I'm going to lift that over there, turn that upside down, and now I'm going to sew this on. So I'm going to go underneath, and I'm going to grab a chunk and a chunk. You can't see it. Okay, so that might not be the nicest way to do it, but you're not going to see it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand out, and I'm going to just go around about a ½ an inch, ¼ of an inch around the base there. So I'm just going to take this over to about there, and I'm going to begin sewing. Now, which direction is easier for me? I'm going to go this way and under, picking up the head, and then down a row, over a row, and under and up into that head. See, you can't really see that. And down and up and down and under and up. And if you can get underneath that stuffing, that is going to give you a little bit more hold. Down and up, down and up, making fairly big stitches underneath because it gives it a better hold. See, it's not compromising the look of this. You can see the indentation a little bit, but nothing that I would be concerned about, except for that one. That one was a little big, and then you can see that. Don't do that. Pay attention to detail, and if you have a big strip like that, go big underneath, but don't go big on top. So down, and then I'm taking a bigger piece underneath, and that helps me too to grab it. There we go. And then I'm going to do a couple more. Remember, little hands are going to be holding this and playing with it, so you want to make sure it's secure. Go around a couple times. When you put your needle in, you go close to where you came out, then you take a bigger section underneath. That will help you hold it. And see? It's perfect. Now I'm going to come up into the center here, and before I tie it off, I'm going to just assess the situation. Oh, that's perfect. You know what? I'm going to even go, I said it's perfect, but I'm going to even come up farther. So that's what you have to do. You have to hold it up and then you have to determine, now what am I going to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle back on here and I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch wider on the head. And that will give me the illusion of a bigger neck. Okay. So here's where my circle is. I'm going to go out over another row width. Okay. So I'm going to do that same thing that I was just doing and go one more round, a little bit wider, and then I'll see you back. When I have it how I like it, I'm just going to tie it off. Very simply. One knot, pull. Oh, little hands are going to love the feel of this and the size. Okay, let me pop that in there. It's just perfect. And pull it through. Then I'm gonna, one more time on my needle. These are metal wool needles. I get them from Amazon or Walmart. I'm going to take that through, cut it off, and snip that off. And there we go. We've got our little head all ready to move on to the next part. Oh, you guys, that's just so cute. I don't think the camera will do it justice, so you'll have to make one. Oops, that's just all folded in here. What happened there? Oh, there we go. Just had my tail caught around there. Okay, so there you go. That's what it's looking so far. We got a nice size head on this little tiny blanket. It's like a little lovey, and once we get our features on, it's going to come to life. All right, friends, we are going to make the arms, and we're going to use, you can use either machine, your big one or your small one, and we're going to make a flat panel over 11 needles. I do it in circular mode. Here's my 3 black needles. My middle one is the tall one. It's right in front of my guide. That's going to be the middle needle, and then I'm going to do 5 on this side and 5 on that side. I love to do flat panels in circular mode because every time it passes back and forth, you get a count of the row. When you do it in flat panel mode and you have your 3 black keys like this and you go back and forth this way, it counts every second row. So I'm going to put up that middle one and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to cast on in front of that 5th one, behind the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. This is our middle one, so that's 6. And then we're going to do 5 more. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? It is in front of that 11th needle. We're going to go under that divider. Again, I'm not going to do this really slow and into our feeder because you can check out the tutorial on my channel. If you need it to be really slow and really methodical, then check that out. But I'm going to do it as best as I can so you can learn if you're just watching this. But we're going to set our counter to 0. That yarn is under that red divider that's to the left of our last needle. We're going to then go back the other way, making sure that you put a little bit of tension on this when you do your first needle on either side, making sure that loop goes down over those red teeth, and you're going to go back the other way. See, it just counted. This is 1. This, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5th one. 1. No, this is my 5th one. I was messed up there because I was counting from that first black one. So here's my middle black one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you're going to go until it pops under that red divider to the right of your last needle. Then you're going to put some tension on it and go back the other way, making sure that loop goes down over your red teeth. This is coming over that red divider. You're going to put some tension on it. And there you go. You're going to go the other way. Here's our last needle. You can see because there's nothing on that one. So we're going to go past it until it goes under the divider that's right next to it. Boom. And then we're going to go back the other way, making sure the loop goes down over those red teeth. And we're going to go back. And this yarn is a dream. If you haven't done flat panels before, this is the one you're going to want to learn on, because I'm telling you, it's lovely. So here's my last needle. This is the divider it went underneath. Now I'm going to put some tension on as it goes on the first one. Then I'll loosen it up. I'm going to go back the other way. This is my first needle on that side. Last needle coming this direction. I'm going to keep going till I go under that divider. There it goes. Then I can come back, put some tension on it, make sure the loops are over the red teeth, and go back the other way. Here's my last one. Gonna go past the divider next to it, underneath, then I can go back. And friends, you are gonna follow that patterning back and forth until you have 31 rows. You can put your Addi stoppers in if you like. Because I just showed you what to watch for, you don't need them. But if you want to put them in, then you would count. If this is our last needle here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put it there. And I'll show you where you put it on the last one. And then it will automatically stop for you where you go. Now I'm gonna go back this way. This is our first needle on this side, so you go 1, 2, 3. And the reason why you need more on this side is because of this piece that jets out. Okay, so that's where you would put your stoppers if you choose to use them. I'm just gonna go like this. See how beautifully this works? So I'm watching for where that last needle is here, and then I'm going under the divider that's beside it, watching for the last needle going this way, going under the divider, coming back. Under the divider, coming back. Under the divider, coming back. We're gonna do 31 rows, and I'm almost there. Under the divider, coming back. Under the divider, coming back. I hope I'm getting a good angle on this. That's the hardest thing for me in videoing, is to get a good angle, to be honest with you. And here we go, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. I'm gonna go past, under that bump. I'm going to cut off a tail that's long enough to go to the end and a little more for sewing. So cut off a fairly long tail, open your latch, take that out, wind it back to that first needle. There we go. We are going to pop up, oops, dropped my needle. We're gonna pop our needle onto, once I pick it up, onto our yarn tail there. And then we're going to continue going back in this direction. See how that needle dropped down? Then you can pick up that stitch. I've got 4 that are dropped down now, so I can pick those up. 1, 2, 3. So that's the 5th stitch. Oops. Pull it through. And we're gonna go to the end, picking up all 11 stitches. There we go. We have our cute little piece off the machine. Friends, you are going to go ahead and you're going to make 1 more of those, okay? And when you have that finished, come back and see me and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with it. All right, friends, we have our arm here and we're going to assemble it. We've made 2 of these. We're going to tighten the one end and we're going to just go into that first stitch and pull tight, pull that down with your nail, and then tie a little weeny teeny knot. Just 1, that's all you need. Oh, and look it, you gotta be very careful with 3-weight yarn because it snaps, but that's okay, because I don't need it. I'm gonna just use the other side. But that just goes to show you how fast it can snap. I'm going to use this one, and we made this one a lot longer than we needed, so that's good. We've got the extra there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead on this end. And this is what we would have done anyways. We would have come back over after we tied off that end. We were going to come to this end and we're going to tie this off. And I'll do the same thing, but I won't pull on it quite so tight. Pull that down with your thumb, just gently. And there we've got this long piece that we need to make into a tube. Now, a lot of times people will say to me on my channel, I only have the big machine, can I make your animals? This is how you would do it. You would have to make a flat panel, the same rows, over the same amount of needles, and then you just sew it up the side. So it does take some configuring at for some pieces, but for a lot of them, this is what you can do. And we're gonna do the mattress stitch. So I just picked up 2 bars, went into 2 stitches. I'm gonna go over to this side, and I'm gonna make sure that the wide part of the V of the stitch is to the left on both sides. And I'm gonna find where that row is. I'm gonna go into this stitch here, this top stitch. I'm gonna pick up that bar and that bar. Okay, and then we're going to go on down the row. I'm going to come over to this side. Here's where I came out. I'm going to pick up the next bar and the next one. Into where I came out, pick up 2. Into where I came out, pick up 2 stitches. Go across And you're gonna have to hold this with your 3 fingers, okay? Because this is a little piece and it's hard to get in there sometimes, but I'm following that same row. Pick up that bar and that bar. This is the last place where I came out of, so I'm gonna go back into there, pick up the next bar and the next one. This is the mattress stitch. Pick up 2 bars at a time. I'm sticking to the same row. And I'm gonna pick up 2. This row, pick up 2. And I do have a video on how to do the mattress stitch if you need it in a slower way, okay? So I'm going to do this all the way up to the top. But before I get there, I'm gonna pinch the end here and I'm gonna pull. See how I brought that side together? Now we've got a tube. That's how you can make a tube if you don't have a 22 needle machine and you want to make arms and legs for different animals, okay? And there we're gonna go here. And here, I'm gonna go all the way up to the top. And when I get there, I'll meet back with you. When you get to the top, you're going to pull that. If you pull it too tight, you start to gather. See, you pull on that and you gather. So then you want to just take your piece and you want to pull it back. You want this to be nice and straight before we do the next part, okay? Now I really did that one, but I'm just was giving a visual as to what happens. Sometimes if you pull this too tight, you compromise the straightness of this. So don't do that, okay? Now that I've got it to the top, I'm just going to fasten off with a little knot. This is my other tail, which I don't need to bother with. What you're going to do now is you're going to take this piece and you're going to very carefully put it in half. So that inside piece goes up to the top. I'm going to pop this into the center here. I don't know an easier way to do this because I guess we could have just not tied it off on one end and then brought it through and tied it off like we do a beanie. But if you've done it this way, pop that into the center and then find the center of this piece without snagging the side. It's easy to do. That's what I did with, this is my second one. And that's what you do. And then we're going to just bring this to the outside and we've got our piece that looks like that, okay? Once you have that on the inside, and the reason why we want to do that is because we want to attach the inside piece to the outside piece so that it doesn't slip up. We're going to now tie a knot. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to pop it in between the 2 layers. Or into the very center, actually, is what you can do. Either way, put it right into the middle. It doesn't matter. It hides it better if you put it right into the very inside. Cut it off. And there we've got our little piece. Isn't that just the cutest little arm? Okay, grab your little guy. And I already put one on for you to see. It's perfect, okay? But you're going to take your piece here and you're going to just tie a knot. Pick any stitch right on along the circle there. Any stitch, tie a knot. Pop that little tail into the center there. You guys, this is so soft. I am loving this yarn. I got to make a top or something out of it because it really is beautiful. Then go fold it in half and go straight across. And now you've seamed that center together. You're going to do it again and tie a knot. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take it and you're going to go this other direction. Just like so. So I'm going to go over to this end here. And then to this one, and I've made a flat edge, a very tiny flat edge. Now you can take another knot here and it holds it. Go again and watch that if you need to. My knot bunched up there, but I don't want to pull it because then I will snap it, and that's okay because we're going to hide that. Then you have a flat edge at the top there, and it's in the middle. I'm going to bring this to the front because I want that little other piece to be at the back. It's in the middle there, so then when you know it's in the middle, I'm just going to do this. Sorry, this is real. I'm real. I do, if I see something needs to be done because I've made a snag or a mistake, I'm going to show you how I fix it. I just did another little knot there. And because I have it in the middle, this is going to be exactly centered where I want it to be because this braid is exactly the center, okay? We're going to take our needle and we're going to go into the head and the body at the same time, just at the very, where they meet there. And we're going to take a stitch. We're gonna go across and we're gonna pull that. And when you pull it, I'm gonna turn it so that that other side that I don't like is on the bottom. When you pull that, because you had this in the center, your arm is now perfectly centered. So all you gotta do now is you gotta go over and pick up a strand. And you're gonna go right close to where you were before, and you're going to pull that. Don't pull too hard because it'll snap. Don't worry, it's not gonna all come apart when kids are playing with it. It's a very sturdy yarn, but let's face it, we have strength when we're pulling on one little tiny strand of yarn. So it's not gonna, once it's together, it's perfect for kids, okay? When I get it to the end, this is what I always do with my arms. I go down and pick up a stitch on the side there. It's about the second stitch down. I pick that up, then I go into the same spot where I came out and up to the middle. And I'll show you why I do that. I'm into the middle and I'm gonna pull. As I pull this, watch what happens here. It's just slight, but it rounds off my shoulder and doesn't give me a pointed edge there, a straight edge. I'm gonna go across and I'm gonna do this on the other side. So I like to pick up from the front, go to the back, just like that, pull it through. There we go. I'm going to pick up some in the head, just in the crease there, just like that. Go back on top there, come through to the back. Oops, tangle it around her little neck. Attach that, then go back into the head, and I'm going to sew this one on the same way. I got to put it close to my body because the angle is weird. And then when I get to the corner, I'm going to pick up this stitch here. I'm going to go back in to the head, into the center, and that's at that point, that's where I'll meet you back. And when you get to the end, you're just going to take one stitch on the side there. Pull that through. Come on in. And then when you pull that, that's going to round that off a little bit nicer. See how you could have just washed that, slightly go in there, but that's all you need. Now I'm going to take this back to the other side. I'm going to knot it off. And one more. Push that down gently with my thumb, pop that into my work, pull it out, and cut it off. And we have one very perfectly centered arm on each side, because I already did the other one, okay? There we go. I like this purple side better. That's the side I'm going to put my face on. What you're going to do now is just same exact way that we did the arms. You're going to take your yarn, you're going to cast on over 11 stitches in a flat panel, and you're going to do 41 rows, okay? So cast on, knit 41 rows, cast off. Just like what we did these little arms. We did 31 rows for the arms, we're doing 41 rows for the ears. Make 2. When you have your ears off the machine, you're going to do the exact same thing you did with the arms. It looks exactly the same, only thing is it's 10 rows longer, okay? When it's in half, it's 5 rows. So that's how you're going to make your ear. Go ahead, get both of them finished, and then I'll show you how I attach them. All right, so here's what I was meaning before when I said there's a second option. I didn't tighten this end, I just did this end. Now I'm gonna, because with these little tiny pieces, they're sometimes a little weird to work with. They're a little bit hard to work with. I'm going to put this into the inside like that. There it goes. Before I tighten up the other one. I'm going to finish this, taking it all the way up. just like that. I'll do one more on this side. I'll just get the one stitch. See, it's hard to get in there. Don't get discouraged. You can do it. Just take your time and look for it and do the best that you can. Really, it's not going to make much. You're not going to see much of it anyway. So there we go, because this part's going to be sewn. I've got that up there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this piece with this. I'm going to just take this and grab just the top stitch of that one there, just so that I have these two together. Then I'm going to pull to tighten this side. And then I'm going to tie these off. One. Now the inside is tied to the top. And then we can turn it the other way around and hide those yarn tails. And that just makes it easier for you to do it than how I did it before. So if you followed me right to the end of this part of the video, then you'll have the benefit of seeing this. You should always watch the end of my videos, because sometimes I put little tips in there that help you through the rest. Rather than to watch part of it and then say, oh, I get what she's doing. I might just surprise you and put something else in there. Okay, friends, we are going to do the ears in this next clip, but I've inserted this clip. You see, he's done on the other side. I've inserted this clip because when I show you how to put the ears on, I tell you to put them really up too far. I tell you to put them about 1/4 inch from the center. You're going to go down even farther. I measured this, and each ear is about an 1.5 inches down, but depending on how much you've stuffed your piece, etc., it might not be that far, but this is the back, because I don't want to throw you off with the front, with the face on there now. Well, you've seen it at the beginning of the video anyways, but we're going to work on the ears now. But when I show you how to do it the same way. But friends, do it much farther down. Twice as far down as what I show you. I've got 1.5 inches from there to there. Okay, so just a little clipped insert here to tell you to do the ears a little bit differently. You'll see me doing them wrong, but I painstakingly, after I had this thing finished, I painstakingly sat on the couch with a cup of coffee and I searched for those little ends. I took them out and I repositioned my ears because I just didn't like the finished project of where they were. Okay, this is much, much better for a puppy. Has to be lower. We're going to take a piece of yarn and we're going to attach in the center just like what we did before. Tie a knot, except for we're going to leave it flat like this. We're not going to bring in the other 2 corners. I'm going to tuck that into that little opening. Just like that. Now we're ready to go. Okay, so we're going to follow up this seam as best we can. We know that our arm is centered, so follow your arm all the way up, center there. Here's the top of the head. We're going to go down, if I can count the stitches, 1, 2 stitches. So just a little bit. Maybe that's 1/4 inch. We're going to pick up some of the head and we're going to attach this. Then we know that this is now centered. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pick up, going around to the top and then coming down, and I'm going to sew this on. Pick up a little bit of the head. And always, if you can get under some stuffing, that helps. Go over and from the top down to the bottom, just like that again, and pull. And we're going to do it again. And again. And we're going to sew on our ears just like that. When I get to the end, I'm going to pick up one more strand from the head. I'm going to come down 1 row here. Maybe that's too far. That was in the way. Right there. And I'm going to go back into my head up to where the center is. And when I pull that, it rounds off that corner. See how beautiful that finishes it? It just makes 100% difference. You got to do that, friends. Then I'm going to come back in and go the other way. And we never tie off and hide our ends until we have both ears on, because we might need to remove one and reposition. And if you've tied your ends and knotted them off, that's very, very hard to do. I'm going to pick up another piece, and then I'm going to go down, pick up the stitch on the side, come back in left-handed to the center, and give that a pull. I don't like this little piece here, so I'm going to trail this over to here. I'm going to pick that up, and then I'm going to go back down and underneath. See how that fixed that right away? That's good. Okay, then I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to assess the situation, and I'm going to put the other one on just like that. So go ahead, attach your second ear, and when you like the placement, when you like how they look, and if it looks even, knot them off, hide your ends, meet me back. When I have the ears on, I like to take my yarn tail, or you can actually add one. That's generally what I do, but this one was long enough. And I'm gonna carry this down to the middle of the ear. And when you add one, then you actually will, obviously have a knot on here, which will hold it in place, but I didn't. I just used what I had. So I am going to add one so that I don't gather it in there. Then you're going to place it down so it falls naturally and a little bit to the front. So just instead of going straight down, curve it to the front, just a very little bit. And where you see where you put that in there, go ahead, get under that stuffing, pull up a stitch, and sew this on. I'm going to do that one more time. That helps your ears to stay in place, and it's one of those little fine details that makes a huge difference in how your piece looks. Okay, now I can go ahead and take this little yarn tail, pop it into there, pop it out the back of the head, and cut it off. All right, there we go. It's looking really, really cute. If you don't want to do this next part because you don't know how to crochet, then all you're going to do is add your eyes and your mouth, okay? And you'll see how I do that with the circles that I'm going to put on here, and you just do it the same way, but eliminating the circles. If you want to continue on and follow me, I've got a 4.5mm crochet hook. I'm going to slip stitch to join. And we are going to chain 4. 1. You can do a magic circle, but for those of you who aren't really confident with that, I chose to do a chain instead. And then we're going to go into that 4th chain from the hook. Hold that with your fingers so you can find the circle. See, there's a circle that we're going to go into there. Yarn over, go through that 4th chain and through the loop on your hook, and that's how we slip stitch to join. We're going to chain 1. Then we're going to go into that center circle, and we're going to knit, or we're going to crochet 12 single crochets. So this is 1, 2, and once I get 3, I'm going to add my stitch marker. 3, and trust me, friends, you're going to want to do that because these are small stitches, and sometimes it's hard to get into that first stitch. So I'm going to put this right there, and that's going to help me pull up and get in there when I need to. And what I'm also doing is I'm carrying my tail so that I'm hiding it as I go. I've done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, carry that across, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more is 12. I've done my 12 single crochets in that loop. Now I can pull up on this little stitch marker here, get my hook under there, which trust me, when you don't have the stitch marker, it's hard to do. And we're going to slip stitch to join. Yarn over, bring it through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. We've just did round 1, slip stitch to join. I'll tighten this after round 2, but you can just let it fall now. We're going to chain 1. Into that same stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. This is our increase round. Take your stitch marker, put it into that first one. We're going to put 2 single crochets in every stitch. So 1 and 2 and 1, all the way around till we have 24 single crochets. Go ahead, friends, put 2 single crochets into every stitch and I'll see you at the end. I've made it around. I have 24 single crochets. Now I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to gently pull it. Don't pull it too tight because, like we know, this yarn will break. Okay, that's good enough just like that, and I can fix it later if I need to. And then we're going to slip stitch into where our stitch marker is. Let me get this tighter here. Right into there. You can pull out that stitch marker, yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. We have now completed round 2. You are going to then fasten off and cut off and hide your tails. And you're going to have one that is just like this. Then you're going to do another one that when you get to this part, you're going to do one more increase row. Okay, so this is one, but I'm gonna stay on camera and show you what I'm gonna do for a third row. So one of the pieces, we're gonna leave this size. The next piece, you're gonna do the same exact thing, but we're gonna add one more row. So we're gonna chain one. We're gonna go into that same stitch and we're gonna do 1 single crochet and we're gonna do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. 1 and 2. Add your stitch marker. In the next one, you're going to do 1 single crochet. And in the next one, you're going to put 2. 1 and 2. In the next one, you do 1. And in the next one, you do 2. And you're going to do that all the way around for row 3. And when you get to the end, you're going to join to this first single crochet, and then I'll meet you there and we'll close off together. Made it around. I am going to join to where my little stitch marker is. Yarn over, bring through. Oops. Yarn over, bring through and bring through, and then yarn over and bring through again. Leave a tail for sewing. Bring that through. And then we're going to just gently close this. The best way to do it, friends, so that you do not, where's my needle? I just got rid of it. So that you do not break the yarn, is to just go around and reinforce it that way. So we're gonna put it on our needle. And although we hid the tail as we were going, we're gonna just do it again. We're gonna go around, pull slightly. Look at how that already made a difference, and I only went under about 2 or 3 stitches. Go around. And gently pull. And that's almost good enough for me, but I'm gonna do one more. There we go. Now you can just pick up a stitch, knot it off. I'm not gonna lie, I like 4-weight yarn or thicker to work with. My fingers don't work well with 3-weight yarn or less. There we go. And we can just cut that off because we're going to be, we don't need to hide that tail. And there you go. So you've got this one and you've got one that's only 2-row increase. I'm going to whip that one up again because this was the first one that I did. And I'll see you back soon. Taking our bigger piece, we are going to, this is the wrong side facing me, I'm just going to go into that next stitch and then come back to the next one, into the next one. We're gonna gather this a little bit, and into the next one. And we're gonna do that all the way around. You can even do it this way. Going in and come back out. All the way around. Once you get it all the way around, you're going to put your thumb in there and you're going to pull on this till it goes around your thumb. And you've got a little bit of an opening there. And once you get it to that point, you're going to take this and you're going to make a knot so that it holds in that shape. Just like that. Now if I pull on that, it's not going to gather anymore. I'm going to take some little tiny bit of fiber fill. I'm going to pop it in my little nose. Takes less than what you think. Just a tiny bit. This wee little guy. Pop him in there the best that you can with your finger. Then you're gonna take your piece. You're gonna put your nose right about there and you're gonna sew it on. So I'm gonna pick up from the head, pick up at the base of my nose. Once we get most of the way around, we can stuff a little bit more stuffing in there if we feel we need to. But I've got that just positioned where I need it. Hold it with your finger, go down and just go around and sew it on the way I'm doing it here. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Picking up, sewing on, picking up, sewing on, and if at all possible, get under the stuffing as much as you can every time you go into the head. Pick up a little bit of stuffing because that helps to hold it secure. Now that we have our nose on, we're going to take our smaller piece, making sure that the right side is up, and you can see where your stitches are up, and this is the wrong side. Put your right side up and put it just above the nose and off to the right for the first eye. Okay, that's not the actual eye. We're gonna put, we're gonna use black yarn and put the eye on, of course. But we're gonna sew this on. Same thing. Pick up a stitch as close to the piece as you can, and then pick up a stitch on the piece. Just go under that stitch and go all the way around. Easy peasy, friends. I'll meet you when I get there. Now that we have that on, friends, I actually put my needle in here and I poked out a little bit of stuffing. Rather than having it so full, now that I have the eye on, I wanted it a little bit flatter, so I actually removed some. I'm going to take some black yarn, which I'm using Caron Simply Soft, because the texture is nice with the texture on here. And we're going to make the eyes and finish off the nose, okay? We're going to go from the side up into that very center of that eye. Pull through, leaving a bit of a tail so that you can tie off and hide later. We're going to just go right above, barely, and then right below, barely, that center piece. Just want a very tiny eye. It's a little bit difficult to do, but take your time and you'll get it. Let's do that again. Right below and right above and pull. See, there we go. We got a little speck there. Now we're going to just go on top of that again and pull. That's twice. And again. That's 3 times. Don't get it around the ear there. Just want a little eyeball. I'm going to do 4. You can use safety eyes if you know for certain that you've got them attached so well that they're not going to come off, because the littlest of people are going to be holding these. I'm going to do 1 more, and that would be 5 passes, and I'm going to come straight over to here. So that's 5. Oh, I like how that looks. Let's see if this is right positioning. Yes. Okay. Do the same thing. 1. That's a little bit higher, so I'm going to take it out and go a little bit lower. 1, and 2, three. This is 4. And we did 5 in that other eye, but yeah, we can do one more. And 5. And from there, we're going to come, here's the middle of the nose. We're going to come up to the first row in the center. So right there. So the row right above and in the center. And from there, we're going to just come up to the top here, and we're going to go over 2 stitches at the very edge and then come back down and back up. We're making a little V here. We're smushing the face, but we'll fix that later. And then across and back down to the point. Now we're going to just fill this little nose in. I'll go up to the top here, back down to the point. Use my thumb to guide that right beside the other one. Back up, down to the point. Use my thumb to guide this one. And I'm going to go right across, filling in my section. When our section is filled in, we're going to go and do the outside again. I do that for every stuffy that I do. I fill it in, then I come out and I do the border one more time. So I'm going to go right across to here. Then I'm going to come across to here, right beside it. It just finishes it off. That attention to detail makes a big difference in how it looks. See? And then from there, I'm going to come up right underneath that center. So from here, right up there. Oops, snagged it. Now we're going to just pull up on this because I could tell that was sunk in. I'm going to go back into the point of the nose, out the side, under the stuffing and out the side of the head where I went in. Pulling that, not too tight, but just gently. From there, we're going to cut this off. We're going to tie a knot. Make sure when you tie this first knot that you don't pull on it, because then you'll tighten this little line that's right here. So that first one, just till it touches the head, then you can make the second one tighter. Like that. Put this back on your needle. Under the stuffing, out the back of the head, pull up, cut off. Take your needle, see how it's indented there? You just gotta lift it up. There we go. And there you go, friends. We have our cute little lovey puppy. Isn't he just like adorable? Another thing you can do, and I am going to do this, but you do not have to. You can, if you want to stick with me through the next section of the video, you can. I'm going to smooth this out, and I'm going to do a little border all around the whole perimeter of the piece. I think it'll sit nicer. It's perfect just the way it is, but if you want to do that with me, then grab your 4.5mm hook and your yarn, same yarn, and let's make a border. Starting in the back, we're going to smooth this out, just like that. And I'm going to start in the back center. We're going to put a slip knot onto our 4.5mm hook. We're going to go this way because I want my right side of the crochet to be on the right side of the project. So we're going to go into the center here. I'm just going to pick up a stitch just like this, both bars, yarn over, pull it through, and pull it through the loop on my hook, chain 1. Pop this into the back. Now this is going to help this stay in place so it stays nice and flat, but again, you do not have to do this part. If you know how to crochet, it's a nice added touch, but if you don't worry about it at all. I'm going to go into that same stitch and I'm going to single crochet and then double crochet into the same stitch. Oops. and double crochet into that same stitch. Try that again. Then I'm going to skip a stitch. So I'm going to skip this next one, and into this next one I'm going to single crochet and double crochet all into that same stitch. I'm going to skip a stitch, skip that one, into this next one, following the same row, single crochet and double crochet. I'm going to skip a stitch into the next one, single crochet and double crochet. I'll show you in just a second what this is looking like. Skip a stitch, single crochet and double crochet. Getting caught on the table there. And you're going to have a little dainty scalloped edge that looks just like that. So keep going till you get to the corner, and when you get to the corner, I'll show you what you do. I'm at the corner and I happen to have just one stitch available, but if this one was the corner there and this was your last one that it worked into, then just go straight into your corner and don't worry about missing one. But I can go ahead and I can miss one, and I'm going to go into that corner, single crochet, double crochet, chain one, back into that same space, single crochet and double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, chain one, single crochet, double crochet, all into that same corner space. Turning your work. This yarn likes to get tangled on my corners of my table. We're going to smooth this out as much as you can. And you're going to look at the rows. So here's a row. Well, let's take it with the wide part of the V up, so it's hiding in there. We're going to go into this next row where the wide part of the V is up. I'm going to single crochet into there and double crochet. Then I'm going to go over to the next one, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. So it's in every row along the sides. Okay, just like this. Where the wide part of the V is up, you're going to go into every single row. So I just paused the video for a second to move ahead for you. This is what it's going to look like. Single crochet, double crochet, single double, single double, single double in every row where the wide part of the V is up. Okay, so you're not skipping any row because from here to there is too far. So you're going to go in every single row. When you get to your piece here, just go right into the center of your braid and keep going along to the corner. In the corner, you're going to do single crochet, double crochet, chain one, single crochet, double crochet. Then you're going to come down the side here again, and you're going to go into one stitch and do your single crochet, double crochet, skip one, single crochet, double crochet, skip one, all the way around. When you get to the end, you are going to slip stitch into the first single crochet, yarn over, bring it through, slip stitch, tie off, hide your work, and you will be done. And that's going to help this to lay so much flatter. Rather, it likes to twist up and fold in on itself because it's such a soft, flimsy kind of yarn. So if you can crochet and you want to do this, then go ahead and do this. That would be my suggestion. If you want to do it and you don't know how to crochet, slow it down and follow me step by step, and you can do it, friends. You really can. Or go to my crochet playlist and I'll teach you how to crochet and you'll have it in no time. Okay, so friends, continue on along until you have the whole border done. So there you go. I've got it all done. It's a beautiful, beautiful border. It's going to hold this piece in this square in place so that it's not all bunching up like it was before. But again, who cares if it does, because it's meant to be a soft toy that they love. But then I go to the Dollarama and I buy these little kids scrunchies. You'll see that I've used these on other videos too. They're just a nice small little size, and they make a very nice little collar, hides that neck, and just looks so great. Look at his little arms and his little ears. I have to tuck his ears down yet. I will do that. But there he is. You know what? Just a beautiful little toy for the little hands to hold. Isn't he precious? And nice and soft. You're going to love this yarn. You're going to love working with this yarn. You're going to love everything about this project. So there you go, friends. There he is. Isn't he just like the cutest little thing? Friends, you're going to love making him, and whoever gets him is going to love holding him and cuddling him. And you're going to want to make more than one. Make them in different colors. You know, you can also make this in a 4-weight yarn. No problem. It would be a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Just follow the same row counts, and you'll make a beautiful one with a 4-weight yarn as well. So thanks again for hitting that thumbs up and for subscribing. I appreciate that so much. And please show me your Little Puppy Lovies in my Facebook group, or if you share them in other groups, please make sure you share the link as well. So thank you again, friends, for watching and for making and for spending this time with me. I appreciate you all. Take care and have a blessed day.